And I love the point you made about the hard part is the governance aspect of AI, getting people together, getting them aligned, having a common vision, a common set of objectives, a common purpose, and values, not values in the terms of cultural values, but what's the value of AI as it relates to our organization? What are we going to measure? And what do we want to take from it? Which I think is really hard. It's hard right now. Welcome to the Risk Never Sleeps podcast, in which we learn about the people that are on the front lines, delivering and protecting patient care. I'm Ed Gaudet, the host of our program, and I am pleased today to be joined by a good friend, Ty Greenhalgh. Now, did I pronounce that correctly? A good friend of mine?
Yeah, absolutely. Nailed it.
Okay, great. And you are the industry principal for healthcare at Claroty?
I am.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, we have a jam-packed agenda for today, Ty. No, I'm just kidding. I'll be gentle, I promise. All right. So why don't we start off with telling our listeners a little bit about your current role and your organization.
Okay. I work for Claroty. A lot of people in the industry I work in the healthcare vertical. Specifically, a lot of people would know the name Medigate. Claroty bought Medigate, and it's a cybersecurity organization dedicated to protecting healthcare with respect to the medical devices, IoT devices, building management systems. Not so much the IT devices, which is covered pretty well. And so we have some unique ability in our DPI and machine learning AI to identify devices, watch their communications, understand their vulnerabilities, make recommendations for mitigation, and generally protect all those types of devices and lower risk to patient care and the threat of attacks.
Good. So something obviously that's needed, critical in healthcare.
Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of facilities don't really understand that. At least if you're not in the IT infosec world, that the majority of the focus is really on the IT devices for securing them, and not so much with the other three devices that I just talked about. So my role there at Claroty is in the Center of Excellence, and I am in charge of the healthcare vertical, where I'm coordinating all of the different departments in our organization to make sure we're all rowing in the same direction.
And I assume you spend a lot of time with customers in that role.
I do. They also have me. I was for a time in marketing. I get reported up into marketing, where I would work with customers. I would do a lot of webinars and education sessions and thought leadership, and helping. I also like when we're on the work groups together for HSCC and 405D and things like that. We'll probably talk more about that in a little bit, but bringing all that knowledge into the organization.
Excellent. So being a channel for what's happening on the regulatory front or forefront, having the immediacy of that data that you can bring back into your overall strategy and your product sets, and also inform customers, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, good. So how did you get into healthcare?
Oh, well, back in early 90s, I think I always knew. I looked at healthcare and said, okay, healthcare is going to be it's a stable, recession proof, really. And you get to help people. And I was always an IT guy and a little mischievous. So
that's what I love about you. That's what I love about you, Ty.
right back at you. So, I went to help an organization. It was a government contractor. They said, "Hey, Ty, we've got this new technology. How can you help us get it into? We want to create a private side to our government." And it was scanning in images. Way back, right? So for some of the younger listeners, it's like, well, that's nothing. Well, it was a big deal back then. and so I thought the electronic record system. And we took that technology, and basically, before that, there was no multi-user access to the records. There's one paper record, and it was, where is it, right? So to just provide multi-user access by scanning in images, but indexing became a problem. And so OCR, is early form of AI, right? I know you're going to want to talk about AI, so I'm going to thread this.
We are good.
So the AI, using OCR back then to index the document so you could do the workflow and whatnot. And then moved from there. And when we were there, we won the Henry Ford Health System Most Innovative Technology of the Year Award, working with the Association for Health Information Management in Chicago and a local hospital. So it was pretty cool. It was a pretty advanced little thing we were doing. But they wanted to go, the government contractor wanted to go off into still government stuff. And I'm like, no. Healthcare is the way to go. So I went to go work for a company called SoftMed, who had the DOS-based version of workflow for an EMR. We image enabled it, brought it Windows. So that was, now we're doing processing on that. And in that company, we ended up releasing speech recognition and another AI, right? And integrated into a new digital dictation system. I don't know if you remember linear and dictaphone.
Sure.
Back in the day. So we took them both down and created a new digital dictation system with speech recognition in it and electronic signature, and kind of plugged it into that whole EMR thing. So again, AI based. And then the next 3M bought us, and 3M Health Information System. And so I stayed, and I helped them to bring about the next AI, which incorporating the natural language processing into computer-assisted coding, where we had ICD-9 and ICD-10. We were shifting there, and it was going to be so much harder to code. The AR was going to, accounts receivable was going to back up just due to the slowness in coding for ICD-10. And so we used natural language processing to read and do computer-assisted coding and help. Very much like the transcriptionists with the speech recognition, where the physicians dictated it, converted it. The transcriptionist really wasn't starting from scratch, so their productivity increased. Same thing with coding. It's like the coder's got a partially coded record, had to check it, human in the loop, and then that went into clinical documentation improvement, which is really where the sexy part got, because it was like, now it's like, oh, doctor, did you mean to say this? Because if you did, we can make an additional $1,000. Not that that's why you would, but just letting you know. Oh, of course, yeah, that's exactly what I meant. And so the case mix index went through the roof. All of a sudden, everybody wanted a computer assisted coding. But and then so when I left there, I tried to start my own gig called Cyber Tiger, which is when I met you, and I think we met at the HHS Humphreys building in. Right next to the Capitol. And, but COVID and, but in that, what I had decided was we were going to get into something around AI. I wanted HIPAA security rule. That was the risk assessments, had to be cyber and so really the medical device security space, really appealed to me. And so we were in that environment, but I had known Jonathan Langer from Medigate for a while, and he just was like, Ty, come on board. We got some great things going on over here. Could use your help. So I came on board, and now that's a machine learning AI and deep packet inspection. So it's another use of AI technology. And this is a long answer, but I think it's a nice thread, which is, this AI, no matter what it was in healthcare, you were always challenged with it was the governance, it was the workflow, it was training, it was changing operations and having departments have to work together that never worked together before. The technology was not really the hard part of what it is, but once you have it, right? So we're faced with that. We're faced with that here now with cybersecurity of medical devices, as people kind of understanding that threat vector.
Yeah, two points that I think are interesting. Well, first of all, thank you for your service in healthcare IT for so many years. A true pioneer. at the forefront of not only, and I think you said the intersection of cybersecurity and healthcare in your LinkedIn profile, which I love. But, having been part of the movement, if you will, to really automate as much as possible healthcare in the early days when DOS, which was, for those younger folks, was the precursor to Microsoft Windows. So believe it or not, at one point, you used a thing called MS-DOS and a command line to get your job done. And then along came Windows Apple obviously first, but to revolutionize the way we work. But yeah, and it's interesting. The second point is that AI is not a new concept. It's been around for a long time. And many of us, including myself, we've been dabbling in it throughout the years. You've obviously, it seems to be thematic and a bit of fabric to your experience, which is cool over time. Yeah. So you've seen a lot from that perspective. But the biggest change recently is just generative AI and the accelerant, I'll call it, to innovation that it provides, which again, arguably is bigger than the internet. We're just scratching the surface at this point.
Yeah, huge. AI is, I think it's going to dwarf everything. It's, let me say this first. So you've got the Gartner AI hype cycle, which is, there's an event, which is AI. And then first comes on the cycle, the peak of inflated expectations, quickly followed by the trough of disillusionment. But there is hope. You move up the slope of enlightenment onto the plateau of productivity. And so you look at all the different AI types that we've got, and like the ambience that we have now, which physicians are using in their documentation. That's like up on the plateau of productivity, because it's really based on a lot of the speech stuff that I was doing back in the day. I mean, we've ground out so much of the technology, and it's so solid that they're able to build on it. So it's not all new. When you start pulling back the layers of their stuff, it's not everything's new. So some of it is, further along on that life cycle.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. And I love the point you made about, the hard part is the governance aspect of AI, getting people together, getting them aligned, having a common vision, a common set of objectives, a common purpose, and values, not values in the terms of cultural values, but what's the value of AI as it relates to our organization? What are we going to measure? And what do we want to take from it? Which I think is really hard. It's hard right now.
Yeah. And there's one of the things I look back on, and I ended up, once I knew that this spot was needed, I would gravitate to it. So like Wayne Gretzky says, skate to where the puck's going to be.
Exactly.
Right? So departments, so like think about the EMR. You had the medical records department and the ID department. Never did they didn't know. The only reason they communicate is because medical records needed some computers, a network in it.
Right.
And so, but when the EMR came, now there's compliance issues for processing the record. There's privacy issues for the record. And now it's like, but it's in digital form. And so now these departments have to start talking together, but they don't speak each other's language. And so there's this interpreter that develops where you can tell the other department why they need to do this and why it's good for you. If you do this, then they get this, and you start trying to build this communications. And like today, we have the same issue with medical device cybersecurity, where clinical engineering is over here, and then you take it to the facilities management, which so you've got the facilities engineers have the buildings. Like a lot of people don't understand that if I shut down because it's on the network, your HVAC unit and your elevators, nobody's going to surgery, and you're going to have to evacuate everybody because it's going to be too hot. So, so but so these different departments that didn't used to work together, like IT and information security and risk, like procurement, all of a sudden they need to all start coming together around the cybersecurity of these say medical devices. And so we're still grappling with that. A lot of people doing a lot of great things in that regard. And that seems to be the way it's moving. So, more and more people will end up.
It's a hard problem to solve. Yeah, I know. It's solutions like Claroty and others within cybersecurity context are so critical these days to not only keeping things moving but identifying where the risks are longer term. All right, so let's move on to a little bit about you, the man, Ty. All right, well, we'll start. We'll keep it in business for now. When you look out over
wherever you want to go,
we're gonna get there. Don't worry. When we look out over the next couple of years, what are your top 3 priorities?
Top 3 priorities. Well, I think I would, from my position, I want to support the initiatives that are going on with respect to the government. They finally got their hands on, okay, here's what we think needs to be done through the 405D, which is graduated up to the HPH CPGs. And they're trying to figure out how do we get traction here without putting undue burden on rural hospitals,
right?
The profitability, additional compliance and regulation. So there's how do you get there? And one of the things that I think has been missing is support from the vendor population to this. So and as I know, this, you're dedicated. You are extremely dedicated. For those who don't know, to this whole process. And I want to take the visibility we have on 20 million medical devices or more. As Claroty is, we're best in class 4 years in a row. We've got more market share than anybody else. It means we've got more more devices under security, so we can see things that other people can't see. And as we start trying to figure out what the HPH CPGs are and what's most important and where we're getting attacked from as a nation, and get this into an iterative process so that we're constantly evaluating it and feeding the information back so we know how to strategize and where we need to be put our emphasis. I want to support more. And so we're actively figuring out ways to do that with maybe the landscape analysis or other vehicles. So that would be one kind of on a.
That's a big one.
It is a big one, but it's I'm just one person, so I just try to help. Right, I'll do my piece by dropping the bucket. So then there's I think another one. I was actually just talking with I won't mention names, but individuals that are influential in government agencies. And there was also healthcare providers there, and basically talking about, how Eric Decker is always talking about the 3 ways we're getting our butts handed to us in healthcare: social engineering, internet-facing devices with known exploitable vulnerabilities, and third-party risk. So the third-party risk thing, what we've discovered is that there are like hospitals have 35 different remote administration tools, and usually dictated by medical device vendors. And because it's easier for them, less friction for the medical device vendor to support the devices that way, but maybe not necessarily the best for the hospital to maintain their risk. So I think that having some sort of a understanding,
common framework for consolidating or replacing that number would be important, obviously.
Yeah. And it's like, so I don't care who provides it really, but it should be, here's the level of functionality that makes it easy enough for the hospital to manage it. And it's, if that's, so it's kind of like, I'm sure you've heard the story about like the instructor gets up in front of the class with a big empty jar and a bunch of different sized balls. Have you heard this? Where you have to
Go ahead. Yeah,
okay, so he's got the large balls, and he takes out the large balls and fills up this 3 foot high circular container glass, and he asks the class, "Is this full?" And they say yes. And so then he pulls out some smaller balls and pours it in there, and they all fall down around the big balls and filled up to the top. He says, "Is this full now?" And they said, "Well, yeah, sure it is." And then he pulls out some sand and and then he same thing. And they say it's full. He pulls in some water. Anyway, but the moral of the story is that if you didn't put the big balls in first, you'd never get them in later.
You'd never get a what?
You never get them in later.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And so you can't try to, you gotta take the big pieces first.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe that's one of the big pieces for third-party access is just, control, consolidation, framework to the power to the.
I love that. And what's your third?
Gosh,
do you have a third?
See, there are 3 different types of people: those that can count and those that can't. No, I don't have a third.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into the personal side of you. What keeps you up at night?
I sleep pretty good.
Do you? Good.
Yeah. I wake up every 2 hours screaming in terror. But
the night terrors.
But other than that, in between, I do really good.
That's great. Have you ever had a night terror, by the way?
No.
I've had one. So are you a lucid dreamer? Do you lucid dream?
I did that one time and it scared me so bad I never did it again.
Yeah, I do it. I do it often. And
really?
Yeah, I've read books on it.
So you're talking to your dreams?
Yeah, I'm actually active. I'm actively dreaming and and knowing I'm in the middle of it and actually controlling it. And I've actually it's a way to bring back so my mom and dad passed away. I'm going to sound crazy on this right now, but it's so true. I swear, Ty, this happened. I started realizing through lucid dreaming that I was able to contact them, and actually, I've in the dream anyway, I physically hugged them and felt it. Actually, it's kind of amazing. So I've read as much as I can about and trying to perfect the capability of doing that as well. I used to astral project when I was younger, which is another form of lucid dreaming. People will say it's not possible. I don't know. I've experienced it, but it's kind of an amazing thing. But night terrors, I never had, or maybe I had them when I was younger and I don't remember. But I had that. I had one recently, and it was awful. Like, I was awake. I could see something in the room, something that was evil, or like I felt an evil presence. And I was trying to scream. Nothing was coming out. And I was awake. I could see. I mean, it was a classic night terror dream, basically. Because after it happened, I'm like, what the hell was that? I've never experienced. And I started to research. It's like, oh, that's a night terror. Go great. Haven't had one since then. But
well, I'll tell you that yes, you absolutely are crazy, and but
thank you, sir. Thank you.
So first of all, the lucid dreaming thing, just for the everybody's listening. So I tried this as a kid, and it was like if you talk to yourself, this is how I did it. You ask yourself like a bunch of times during the day while you're awake, "Am I dreaming?" And you say no, and then you follow it up with the question, "Can I ask you a question?" That was kind of the 2 things. I did that all day for days. And eventually it creeps into your dream. And when you ask yourself, are you dreaming? And you realize, yes. And then you ask, can I ask a question? And the answer came back, yes. And it was a world of information and it's the best way I could, or knowledge or truth. I don't know what it was that it scared me so badly. I sat straight up in bed and never tried it again. I thought about trying it again. But anyway, so I'm with you. And then here in Virginia Beach, we have the Edgar Cayce Foundation, which is the Association for Research and Enlightenment. It's the biggest, so Edgar Cayce went into these trances, read the Bible once for every year of his life. And still, he went in these trances, and he could do spiritual health readings on people with like documented 25,000 times. That's what the library is. All the documentations of all the people they called him a sleeping prophet. So there's something there. I don't know.
There's definitely something there. Yeah.
Something's there.
No, there's definitely something there. And, to your point, it is, I sleep, most people probably do this, but I sleep with the phone by my bed because a lot of the problems I work through in my dreams. I also write poetry, and I'll write poetry in the dream as well. Oh. And then I wake myself up and I capture it, because the thing is, if you don't do that, you're going to forget about it. It's odds are you'll forget. Even if you think you're going to remember, you're going to forget about it. It's a weird phenomenon where you could wake up in the middle of a dream. It's lucid. You know the dream, and then if you don't write it down, I always forget them. So that's why I sit with the phone so I can capture them. But I've solved problems that have been like plaguing me for weeks. Strategy problems, whatever, and I'll dream about it, and boom, kind of interesting.
That's super cool. So you see that I've turned this interview around.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that. I'm going to get back to you. So we're getting there. So you've made a couple changes over the last few years. What are you most personally proud of?
Wow, most personally proud of my family, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
My children. Really, I have 3 great children, and I raised them to be independent, and they are, and they're all off, kind of doing their own thing, and they have great lives, and that's probably
grandchildren. Do you have grandchildren?
I do have 2 grandchildren.
Oh wow! What's that like? I'm about to be a grandparent, so
it's great. Oh,
what advice do you have?
So, give them a lot of sugar, give them back. And
give a lot of sugar and give them back.
I would say spend a lot of time on the floor.
That's going to be hard.
You just get down on the floor and let them crawl all over you.
I tell my kids I get a do-over as a parent.
Exactly. It's fun. It's also fun to watch your children go through the things that you went through, and you develop. I tell them that a prophet in his own hometown has no value.
I love that. You are a man of many sayings.
I got them all written down right over.
I didn't realize that about you, Ty. I'm going to start calling you the prophet.
I could live with that. There's worse things I've been called, but I will say though on that one, I thank you very much for that compliment, but I think we're all 5s. I've got my 1s and 2s, as long as also with my 8s and 9s. I'm just not going to talk about my 1s and 2s.
But that's where the fun is, Mama. Where the fun is.
It is. It is. I think you get shades of it. You can see shades of it. So things that So I was telling you, I'm kind of mischievous. Always figuring out how to do things with electronics that probably shouldn't have been done.
Great.
And so I remember once I was on double secret probation for, I was just traveling. I was in the Colorado airport. It was new. In the Delta ground room, working between flights.
Did you have one of those Russian devices?
No, I'm just thinking, I'm thinking about my company and the way they got the dial-in set up. And I'm like, I log in. They log in as me. I think, I wonder if I could log in as somebody else if I did X, Y, and Z. Oh my gosh. I'm John. What could I do
as John?
As John. They're like, well, so we were just all in the conference together, and we used to have to room together with each other to for
defray costs. Yeah,
just freight costs, right? So I'm like, hey, John was rooming with Paul. To Paul, I really felt like we bonded this week. It just.
Oh my gosh,
man! I'm requesting that we always room together, and that maybe we can do 2-man exercises next time and get some. And I don't know what I said. Just this crazy stuff, and then blind copy the entire Salesforce.
Oh, geez, that's great.
And yeah, so I wasn't trying to hide it. Basically, I was saying, hey, look, we got a problem with our security system.
Yeah.
It's just
yeah,
my
it could be,
way.
It could be worse.
Exactly. It was my way of saying, hey, fix this. But
yeah.
not everybody saw it that way.
Okay. Okay. Outside of your day job, what would you be doing? What are you most passionate about? I feel like you're a surfer. Are you a surfer?
No, I did grow up in Hawaii though, and I boogie boarded as a kid. I surfed a little bit, but more of a because I was young, and the locals really didn't like you on their waves. So, but I would say dancing. And
really, like Dancing with the Stars, dancing?
Kind of. I've been asked to here locally.
What?
My wife and I. So when I met my wife, she was competing what's called the 10 dance, which is all the ballroom dances. And I had just started into lessons for a year or so into Latin dance.
Ooh.
So we hit it off, and that's how we met. So we decided we'd do something together that we had to dance together. We had to. It's called Argentine Tango.
Ooh.
And
now, what makes that different from the regular tango?
So the regular tango is like international tango. It's just like there's five steps to it, and it's a pattern. Every 5 steps is a pattern, and then you do another pattern, and you do another pattern.
Yeah.
Whereas Argentine tango, you are like chest to chest. I can't see her feet.
Oh,
and every move is
like improv, like a unique
improv. That's where I was looking for. Yeah, I took a
improv.
I had a brain.
No way.
And
how do you even do that?
I know, right? So, it's so you've got like anyway. So it's very difficult, and there's different rhythms. There's the slow sensual stuff that you see. There's the fast kind of fun, maybe more like a salsa or a hustle type fun, faster. And then there's stage tango, and there's different, and then there's balls, which is a 3 count, which is more like a waltz, but all still under the same kind of rules as you really don't. I don't really see her feet, and but for me, it's been a whole, and you can't talk, so there's this the whole idea of the dance itself. For me, kind of reflected life in that as the leader, I have to know where she is at all times, what access she's on, where her weight is. I'm totally focused on her and the music.
Is she leading the dance, or are you leading the dance, or is it?
I'm leading the dance, and it'll look like I'm doing nothing. And so I'll make a suggestion through body weight or a twist or something on, because I know what leg's free. One leg she's on, the other leg is free. That's mine. The leg that's free is mine. I get to kind of make suggestions on where I want that to go, whether it's just step behind herself and kind of come back in a circle, or just move straight back, or, or wrap her leg around me, or whatever. It's like, that's mine. And so I'll make the suggestion, and then she will decide whether she wants to follow me or not, follow my suggestion. So, which is kind of like life, right? You make the suggestion to your spouse of what you would like, and then she decides. I don't
know about you, but I make no suggestions. I just follow.
Well, and that is a way to do it too.
I've learned to follow, Ty.
but I think that's called could be a reverse lead. But so I make the suggestion, and then I end up following the follower anyway. Because she's done what I suggested, and so I know where there's a space, where the space is I can step and where I can't.
Interesting.
So she goes first, and then I follow her, and then a lot of times I give the lead over to her, and she kind of just does her thing, and but there's no communication, and when we make a mistake, we just tango on. We just figure it out, and if there's a mistake, this is a big one too for everybody out there, especially you young people. When you make a mistake in this,
you feature it.
It's a communication breakdown.
Oh,
and it's not something I didn't communicate, or maybe she didn't hear it. it doesn't really matter. You felt there was something wrong. So it's something wrong between you. It's not my fault. It's not her fault. It's let's work on this together so we can make it so this happens less frequently.
If more couples just dance the Argentinian tango, is it the Argentinian or Argentina?
Yeah, Argentine tango.
Argentine tango. Wow, the divorce.
We'd have more divorces early.
We'd have less divorces, right?
Well, I think they'd figure out early whether they could make.
Oh, so that should maybe be your wedding dance. Actually, make the Argentine tango your wedding dance.
Save a lot of.
Then you'll know, right, and just do it at the wedding rehearsal dinner, so you know. Like you can call it off just the day before, or whatever.
So, no, it's a great journey. I recommend.
Have you been to Argentina?
No, we do want to go, but our teachers are from Argentina.
Oh, cool.
And so we got pretty good at it, and people want us to go perform, and we say no because we just do this for fun.
Well, you should maybe consider performing. That would be kind of cool. Maybe we should do an HSCC talent show.
That would be that. Greg plays guitar, right?
I know. There's so many talented people. We should act. That would be kind of cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
One of the HSCC meetings, we just do a talent show one night instead of doing dinner. Like we did a talent show and dinner. Like
yeah. I bet you people would be down for that.
I would be down for that. I'd have to recite my poetry, of course.
Of course.
That's the only talent I have. I'm not even sure I have that talent. It's in my head. All right. You go back in time. What would you tell your 20-year-old self? Dance more.
It's going to be okay.
What were you like at 20 years old? What's a tie at 20 like?
Oh my God. So
did they have a nickname for you? Did they call you Tie Stick or geez?
No, it was Mr. Ty.
Mr. Ty.
Mr. Ty. So here's the story. Here's the Mr. Ty.
Like Mr. T, but Mr. Ty.
No, just Mr. Ty. Right.
Okay.
So at 19, my dad was at his pinnacle of his career as a naval officer, and took a assignment in Seoul, South Korea, as the number 2 most ranking naval officer in the country, also in an embassy position running Joint U.S. Military Advisory Group. And it afforded me a black passport, which is diplomatic immunity, and a card signed by the president of South Korea that says, "Do not detain this man for any reason at all."
For someone that's 19, that is just a recipe for disaster.
Well, not really, because you can't get in trouble.
That's what I mean.
How can it be? How can it go back?
It's the wake you leave, Ty. The wake you've left behind.
That's behind you. That's why you don't need.
This is good. This is going to go into my second question, which is what's the riskiest thing you've ever done?
So let me just finish up on it. So the Mr. Ty. So this gentleman leaves the number 1 speaking television show in the country, 9 million people every morning
in South Korea.
In South Korea, and they need somebody like the next day. Well, I don't need to ask anybody whether I can go do this show. So I walk on.
Do we have recorded
9 million people listening to me every day
for how long?
2 years. 2 years.
2 years you did this?
I couldn't go anywhere, and because I stand out immediately, right?
Yeah,
I'm American, and so I was Mr. Ty. Oh, you Mr. Ty, because they got the surnames. Backwards, not backwards. We got ours backwards. They're different, and so that was Ty at.
You probably had all the kimchi you ever wanted.
Right. The food was great. I mean, the culture was great. Loved the people.
2 years. Are there recordings anywhere? Is there any evidence of this?
Not that I have let anybody see.
I'm gonna look for Mr. Ty, Seoul, Korea. You were 19. Okay. Yeah. We'll find it. If it's there, Ty, we'll find it.
I am a little worried about that now.
All right. What's the riskiest thing you've ever done? This is the Risk Never Sleeps podcast.
Riskiest?
Other than come on this show.
No. Oh, gosh.
Jump out of a plane.
I jumped out of an airplane.
When did you do that?
About 5 years ago.
Oh, wow. Recently.
Yeah.
That is very risky. Tandem or?
Yeah.
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 How was that?
Super cool. There's no other experience like floating through a cloud.
Yeah.
It's just the cloud feels like something I've never felt before.
Now, did you ever dream flying before you did this?
Yes,
And
I have. It was always
did
tough.
it feel
like,
did it feel the same?
no, I struggled to fly in my dreams. Falling was easy. Falling through the sky was easy. Almost effortless.
Dreaming was harder than falling through the sky. Said no one ever, but that's good. I like that. Okay, you've fallen through the sky. You landed on a desert island. What 5 records would you bring with you?
My medical record.
Music, Ty, music. What's a medical record going to do you on an island? Just
a healthcare theme podcast.
Wow, I'm in such great. I'm a specimen.
So records. Let's see.
I wish I brought a coconut opener.
Yeah,
albums, music.
I don't do a lot of albums.
You're not music. You're not a music guy.
Well, I have so many different because I dance all these different dances.
Oh, okay.
I love Mark Anthony.
Okay, yeah.
He's that's more of a salsa type.
Yeah.
Iglesias is more of a samba.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got classics for Argentine tango. But I mean, I love Genesis.
Let's hope Genesis.
Yeah, I knew I'd hit you there.
Genesis.
Steve Miller Band. Steve Miller Band. Who doesn't like Steve Miller?
Like old Steve Miller, like living in the USA.
Jungle Love.
Yeah, nice.
Nice.
Genesis is a great band.
Yeah.
All right. How about movies? You a movie guy?
I watch movies all the time, but
what's your favorite movie?
I really liked. What was the name of that movie? It was Robin Williams.
Good Will Hunting.
Yeah. Very good. Being psychic is a prerequisite for being the host.
No, you just gave me a clue, dude. Okay. I'm a music movie guy. I'm a culture guy. I love cultural arts, and so do you. You like art. Okay. Hardest lesson in your career? We're almost done.
Hardest lesson. I would say the hardest lesson is that humility. If you humble yourself to serve others, people will beat a path to your door. But the challenge is remaining humble in the success.
That's a great, wow. Yeah. What insight. That's, again, what I was going to say, what clarity, but I didn't want to.
Yeah. Right.
I didn't want to create a pun here in the middle of a serious comment. That's beautiful, Ty.
I have.
It's so hard, right? Because you see it. You see people start off humble, and then fame hits them, and then they become this other person. It's so true.
Yeah. So it's and obviously I've had that level. I've had experience in that, or I wouldn't have said it. And but being able to see that and cast off so much of what the world tells you is important.
Yeah.
And see things with a much clearer perspective allows you to do it better,
Yeah.
Pick yourself up.
Yeah. And, that's really sage advice. I love it. Okay. Last question. What advice would you give to someone coming out of school, wants to break into healthcare, wants to break into cybersecurity?
Breaking into cybersecurity. Ransomware as a service is always an option.
Or plastics. So it's all plastics.
Yeah. I would, I think that you got to know, you got to learn AI. Not so much. AI isn't necessarily going to take your job. It's the guy who knows how to use AI that's going to take your job.
Yes. That is great advice. I just said it to my daughter the other day. Like, there's so many free tools, so many courses you can get on that actually are no cost or little cost. And within a short period of time, you'll have the basis, the foundation of an understanding and education in an area that's going to be with us for the next, who knows for how long, right?
I'd also say this is, I've told people this before. It's worked out for them, which is, you go and you figure out, what your passion is, what are you good at, and you try to marry those two things. So if you're an accountant type and you love cars, go try to figure out how to be an accountant in the automotive industry somehow, right? Don't necessarily go try to be a salesperson in healthcare. So try to figure that out. And then as you are defining, your skills, and when you're ready for a career, fish where the fish are. There are conferences like HIMSS or Black Hat or DEF CON or all these, huge conferences, RSA, where all of the vendors who might employ you are in one room. Figure out a way to get in that room and go booth to booth, or, scope it out first and then go meet the people. Everybody's going to be there. And so I just think it's a focused effort way to get names, contacts, show initiative, meet people in person. And that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, the great poet Charles Bukowski said, "Do what you love and let it kill you," or something like that, or until it kills you.
I love it.
I think he meant that about drinking. So I certainly don't mean it about drinking. But anyway, good, awesome, Ty. Thank you so much for your time today. And see, that was painless, right?
I really have been looking forward to doing this with you. I love talking with you. We always laugh and have a good time whenever we're together. I love how you love life, and I love the contributions you're making. So, I'd be happy to support you and this or anything else that you're doing.
Thank you. And you did call me the agent of chaos too, by the way. So I just want.
It wasn't just me.
You didn't know that.
It was the
that
whole
plagues my
work
dreams.
Group.
That plagues my dreams.
Whole work group. But if we're not having fun, fun saving the world, why do you want to save the world?
Why would you do it if you can't have fun, right? You got to have fun. Right. Yeah. I think there's a Manfred Mann or a Springsteen song, right? Mama always told me not to look into the eyes of the sun, but Mama, that's where the fun is.
Yeah.
That's where the fun is. Yep. All right, sir. Well, this is Ed Gaudet from the Risk Never Sleeps podcast. And if you're on the front lines protecting patient safety and delivering patient care, remember to stay vigilant because risk never sleeps.